Welcome again to Draw Process, this time page 46 of First Sun and Sword, and let's see what we can learn about and explore together. Here we go.
Okay, page 46 in the script here. Sword rolls to leap away, or in his leap away he rolls, but his foot gets caught in Croc's jaws. Croc gives it a quick tug, and Sword cries out in pain and continues to roll and slash, but in kneeling positions, while Croc continues to lunge. So the most important thing that needs to happen is Sword's foot getting caught in the jaws, getting ripped. He cries out in pain, and he stays in a kneeling position while he tries to get away because he can't walk on it. So it's clear that he's been injured. We left off the last page with King Croc noticing an opening as Sword tried to get away. And now the action. So the way I first envisioned it was I need to see kind of a show again how the last page ended, but just a slight half second ahead in time. So Sword's foot and King Croc, that's all we need. The Croc and the foot. And then he grabs the foot. So I just drew that in another panel and I thought, okay, 1, 2, 3, foot and Croc. Then he bites and then he pulls. So that was my first draft here. And you'll notice I pretty quickly tossed this aside. It conveys the specific thing it needs to, but it's boring. So I'm trying to see what else I could do here. This is the exploring discovery part. So yeah, that foot leading to a leg that goes off of the first panel, that's going to be a strong place for your eye to go as it is looking to the next panel. So here I tried the same thing again. 1, 2, 3. It's just a little boring. It's just the Croc head and the foot. Not much is being shown. So now I'm trying to play with a larger panel that shows it better. So, Sword in a lunge, in his jump, and his foot gets caught. And then well, how should I do this? And I've got him rolling now. So instead of jumping, he's in the middle of a somersault, and his foot's been caught. So there's a lot of play that occurs in this time. Got to be quick with it, right? I'm thinking about the composition and the flow. Where his foot is in the first panel, his leg. It leads right into King Croc's snout, where he's rolling over. It puts a lot of weight there on that second panel towards the bottom of the panel. I placed shadows there too to see, do these shadows help create a movement and weight in the right places for this composition and for the flow of panels. So instead of that being squeezed into 2 and into 3 panels at the top, it is now taking up over half the page. So there's going to be less time now in this page, less space and panels to be able to show him swinging and staying in a crouching position, a kneeling position the whole time, while King Croc keeps coming after him. That was in the script, but I'm starting to have to edit that down. And this nice wide panel here shows the moment that King Croc rips away the opposite direction, and there's going to be a whole string of blood, a stream that flows from his snout on the far left to the foot on the right. So it makes a nice wide composition that doesn't have to be very tall. So I've got that panel in that shape. I wanted to capture Sword's face. Like, he's just had his foot ripped. We've seen it clearly. We would like to see how he's handling. How is our character handling this pain? How are we feeling it with them, and what are they feeling? I'm thinking ow when I see it, but I want to see his expression. So the storytelling guides my choices here. I needed him to kind of swing and lash out to create some space from King Croc. That's important so that we get the feeling that he is somewhat safe by the end of this page for a moment. But I also wanted you to see his expression. So I got that. And then it ends with him in that kneeling position, his foot clearly in view towards the camera in the bottom right corner of the panel. And he's holding his sword in front of him in kind of a guarded position. And King Croc has also stopped. He's not currently mid-lunge. So we get to a beat, a pause, a static moment in that last panel, which is a nice place to end, especially when we started with a movement in the first panel. Just the story and just this page alone is important too. Yeah, and you'll get, if you couldn't see it very well when it's pencil, you're going to see it better now that it's in Sharpie, and I'm getting one more chance to work it out. I guess I'll point it out now. I swapped his feet, so his left foot got bit, and now it's his right foot that's behind him with blood, trailing it. I'm usually really good about keeping left and right correct, but it's tricky when he's upside down when it happens, facing the camera, and then he's right side up facing away from the camera at the end. So I didn't even notice until I finished this whole page, and then I used whiteout and fixed it. But that was annoying because this page actually took me like an hour and a half. Like, I timed it. It was an hour and a half. I was like, wow, start to finish. That's good time. But then I realized I had to go back and fix the foot, like kind of redraw part of the panel. And I think it also had no whiteout. It was like a perfect page until I realized I had to use a lot of whiteout to fix a lot of things there. It happens to the best of us. At least I caught it now. Or, then before printing it or something. Okay. I'm not exactly copying the thumbnail at this point. I'm looking at the thumbnail, but the shapes of these panels that I've drawn are a little bit different. I'm going to make slightly different choices, sometimes majorly different choices here. Yeah, let's see what I can share today. While you see me draw this video here, I'd like to talk about stuff I'm processing and thinking about. I've said it before how what's possible with this medium is still unfound, undiscovered, right? Yeah, I think it's nice to learn from other people. It's nice to study and see how this has been done. But what do you do when the right way to do it is not established? To be an explorer can be haunting and hopeless if you don't know where to turn and what to do. So it's definitely good advice to look for guides on that journey. But for me, it's substantially an inner journey with a lot of self-reflection. So when I look at my own work, I have to kind of think of myself as a third party, objectively. Like, who is this artist? What is he trying to do? Where is this all going? Who could he become if he was, if I can understand what he's trying to do when I look at at his work, could I imagine like how he could hit the mark better? And I think of it like a third party as I say it now, because it feels that way in a way, because your ego's not exactly caught up in that. It's just what's happening to me, like what seems to be unfolding, what's in me that I didn't know was there. Because when I come to the page and do art, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what's in me until I see it reflected. I don't know my own face till I look in the mirror. Same thing here. I have to make an attempt and see in the reflection what it's showing me about the way I see the world, the way that I see stories, the way that I see figures and action and storytelling. So if I reflect on my own journey, then I can find my own path. Not that I don't seek input or look at what other people are doing at all. I still do try to learn from sources, but it is a very individual journey. And this is what excites me the most. If I just wanted to do what some other creator has already done, but just try to like match what they do, to me, that's not exciting enough. That's not interesting enough. Because it's already been done, and why try to match them? And even people that have done it, I've heard them say, like, in hindsight, they realize that they never could be like that person, and they ended up slightly different and developing their own style. That they were able to witness unfold. And I mean, that's how I think it is in a way, is you witness it unfolding in you, and you're the gardener that's tailoring that growth. The way I have him positioned here on the page is slightly different than the thumbnail, because I realized that if I positioned him a little differently, I could show his foot, the injured foot, which actually is the wrong foot, because once again, I mixed up the feet now at this point. So, nonetheless, you get more of a full figure in this shot, and still get the face expression pretty well. Yeah, so, yeah, I definitely think about that, watching myself unfold, tailoring that growth and development, and really it's finding my own path, one step at a time. The other thing that seems to really be a part of what I'm thinking about lately and dealing with is a desire for more free expression. I've said this before, and speed. It's a strange idea. I mean, maybe I should just talk about speed a little bit. So, like, I could tune out distractions. I could eliminate pauses while I'm on a page. And that does speed it up a bit, but that's not enough. That's not all I'm talking about. You can also get a little better, more efficient, where your figures are right the first time, you draw things correctly, don't have to erase. That speeds you up a bit. But I'm thinking more changing the way you draw and the techniques you use to where it is quicker. If this were writing, there would be a difference between someone that could speak eloquently in very few words, get right to the point of what they want to say, and say it quickly, and it could be something profound, something awesome, but they could do it very quickly. There's a difference between that and someone working on it and tailoring and choosing things very carefully and editing and all that. And if you compare making comics to that, we are thumbnailing, which is getting the rough idea. We're penciling, and then we're inking. And then other polishing steps after, like coloring and lettering, perhaps. So there's rough drafts and built in, and that might lend itself to very careful choices if you compared it to writing. But I want to make comics that's much more like the person that can just write in a very natural tone of voice, just put it out there and quickly. So that's why I've leaned towards simpler art. You could say more abstract, more shapes based, as I want to communicate the ideas quickly and effectively. And I think, my preference for that is seen in other areas. It's seen in writing. I like writers that just say it without flowery language. Just very, very to the point, very astute, very clear. And I like artists that do the same. So this applies to other things too. It's just a personal taste. And so it's not just like drawing comics takes a lot of time. I want to be faster so that I can complete more pages, get stories out there. I don't want to spend, years making one comic. It's true that I want to have high quantity of output. But for me, it's a matter of taste, that I want to communicate quickly and efficiently and sharply. So the changes I'm making and going through in my penciling and inkings, in my style, is there's always some reflection of this value I have and this direction I'm trying to go. That's really hard to put into words, but there you have it. There's one way I can describe one of these things that I feel is an idea, a value, a sense of taste that guides me and pushes me forward. And maybe a lot of people can relate to that, but I think we all have a slightly different individual makeup, or very different. Different things guiding us, and you're going to get, not only do you have different raw materials, different skill sets and experiences and a view on the world, but then you have these different guiding values and sense of taste and so on that's going to lead you down a different path than another artist and make different art. And that's, I love art because it's made by humans and it reflects all that process. But I'm very much on that journey. I'm thinking ahead to the next issue of this, the next story arc, episode, or issue, however you want to word it. It will probably be similar in length, maybe pushing 60 pages, like this one will be. And that will be a nice chance to reimagine what I'm doing and get it more in line with my values, more in line with where I'm trying to go. So I suspect I'm going to color in a different way and draw in a different way to a degree, or ink in a different way, you could say. I'm really curious to see what I can do. There's a limit to how many changes I'm willing to make in the middle of an issue. But like the coloring style, I'm not going to change right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what I do. I'm also curious what I do with story, because I don't know what the story is yet for the next one. And I think I need to do some work thinking through the overall story, each character, and what's driving them, their personality. What is the story about, the overall story? I should work these things out in more detail than I have. I haven't done a horrible job, but I know I could do better. I like to keep it somewhat open-ended, like episodic, rather than just one story I've got to tell. But I still want to think those things through pretty well, and set things up for better storytelling, issue by issue. I feel pretty good about how this first issue is going. I'm establishing things pretty well, I feel. But I'm going to have to introduce more characters and more conflict. And there's a lot of different ways I could go for especially issue 2. So I still have to write that, and that's going to be fun to see what I come up with. And it'll be a good test for me, because I'm really trying to set out to write a good story and write something episodic, unlike anything I've done before. My other things have been, like a 5-issue mini-series or a 6-issue story arc where it's just that one story to tell. And this is ongoing indefinitely. And this first issue is a whole story arc, like basically you could say a fully finished thing. And I got to start fresh on the next one. So I guess the only other time I've done that is the musical mishaps of Cat and Fiddle. I actually started the second arc and I got 68 pages in, or I guess you could say 78, 10 pages into part 2 of 4. The first part was 68 pages. Of the second story arc, the second volume of the musical mishaps of Cat and Fiddle. I got that far in and I stopped because I wasn't happy with where the story was going. It was the story problem that stopped me. And it wasn't awful. I just knew that it wasn't the best. It wasn't as good of a story as I wanted it to be. I was losing the thread. So I've taken time away from it several years now. Quite a few. Geez, when would that have been? Maybe it might have been, what wasn't last year? 2020, maybe 2019, I'm not sure. One of the 2019 or 2020, I left it. But yeah, so I mean, last time I tried to do this, I got stuck. But now I kind of know why. Like, I have a better idea of why now than I did then. And maybe I have better skills where I could get myself out of that stuck spot I ended up in and hopefully never end up there in the first place by writing better. Where it's much more clear what the story is about and everything is designed to work that out with the audience. And that would help me not get stuck and lost and boring and all that. Yeah, so this is a big test, and I like comics like that. I like stories that are longer and keep going, episodic, you could say, or at least very long form. And so I want to make comics like that, because those are the kind I like, or like a standalone story. I enjoy those too, but I do have an interest in this kind of story, and I'd like to be able to do this, to participate in that and make that kind of story for an audience. So, In my comic, I don't want to use any sound effects, onomatopoeia. I don't like to use any like energy lines and stuff that if they're there, they're like really there. And that was a decision I made kind of early on as I was drawing the first pages. And so this is a little tricky here. When he bites his foot, I wanted to accentuate that, draw attention to it. So I drew a few little lines coming off. And here's another one, drawing more attention to King Croc's mouth, because I don't have color to do it, for one, is some squiggles of, I don't know, noise, blood, whatever. Now, because I'm trying not to use any of that unless it's really there, these represent blood, spit, and stuff like that. Dust, everything I show that's moving on the page needs to be an actual thing that's there. But I have a little leeway in that, because obviously a little bit of spit or something can be drawn on the page. But that was just something I set out to do. Sword's foot is pretty messed up. Like, from the looks of it, it is split in half just above the knuckles. This is going to affect the story too. So, I guess getting into story some, he is a prince, actually, and had a desire to stand up to the lizards or be a leader, but it's not really possible. So he fell back on being a mercenary and developing his own kind of practice of his martial arts and his way of living as a kind of a nomad without a home, because he can't go home. But he never wanted to directly confront the King Croc or Lord Tsar, the system. He didn't want to confront it directly. He didn't feel he was strong enough. And here he's done it, at least on a small scale with King Croc. It's not ultimate. But he's chosen to bend his rules here for this boy. So this boy represents hope that it is possible to stand up. And that through the boy, he would be able to make a difference. Now, he's not totally aware of all this, because he's also, the boy is also this innocent boy that he would want to protect too. So his reasons are mixed here. But if he came out of this fight unscathed and feeling stronger and better than ever, then he might feel more emboldened, more like, I can handle, facing Lord Tsar. I can do my, my destiny, that thing I've been avoiding. I could do it now. I don't want there to be any confusion for him to be thinking that. So by him being injured and now having to struggle with this frailty, this wound that he's taken on, by choosing this difficult path, it's this visual, physical representation of the struggle he has with feeling inadequate. Okay, he's not the perfect sword fighter person that he tries to be, and that's clear now, and he's going to struggle with that. It's a nice element, and it's nice for him to have skin in the game and there to be a cost to him taking this on. And when you think of like story structure, this is the climax of issue 1, but this is also serving as even like an inciting incident this is where things get going. For the overall, like for the larger story that's going to play out, this is not the climax. This is him starting the journey and choosing this. But it gets complicated when you think of the structure, because he's also he's having to pay a price for his commitment to this. That sounds like something that would happen later in the story. But that's because this is a standalone story in episode 1. So you could look at the structure of this story on that level, or you could look at it as issue 1 of many. So this is the start of him on this road. Or you could think of this as a microcosm of like the bigger story. This is the micro version of the bigger story. So show the hook, you could say. You could think of this as simply the hook. Show the audience what they're going to be getting into with the whole series. So if they enjoy this first issue and they get an idea of what they're getting in for the whole series, then maybe they're going to be on board for the series, and that's important too. I want them to know what kind of book they're getting into, so we can attract readers, get them on board. Here I am fixing my mistake with his feet on the page here using whiteout. I've never really had to do this much whiteout, but I did not want to draw a new image. So a little bit of pencil work and using whiteout to swap his legs, the one that he's standing on and the one that's behind him. This does allow the injured foot to still be right there at the bottom right of the panel, so that we get a clear shot of it, a clear view of his injury. And that'll about do it for this week. So I'm making these finishing touches on that. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've always been interested in the quality of my dialogue and my writing. But that, as much as I'm working in the sketchbook, I'm trying to take more seriously than ever the writing process, and the knowledge I need to be a good writer, because that's the key. I feel we're not just drawing pictures; we're making comic books. We're making stories, and if the story's really good, I can read a comic. Even if the art isn't the most masterful, amazing art I've ever seen, I want to read the book. And so if I want to make a book people want to read, I don't simply have to get better at drawing. I have to tell a good story. And to me, that's the more important piece. So, yeah, got to do that too. Yeah. We are coming up on a year of me doing this channel and working on this comic. Started in November, posting pages. But we're a little ways from that, but we are coming up on 52 pages. And sometimes I've done 2 in a week, but that's close to representing a year. It's close to a year. So we are getting there, close to a year of working on this comic. In the future, I might try to do 2 pages a week. once I finish this animation job and can get more of a break in that, more time for this, for comics, then I probably will do that, because that would be great to speed up, be more dedicated to this. But it hasn't been bad. One comic, a 60-page comic in 1 year, or a little over a year, that's good. And I'm still seeing myself grow and improve, even if it is, slower than I would have wanted. I'm still growing and improving. And I can see that in the work itself. So it doesn't hurt to take time. Okay, so that's it for this week. And here's the finished page. You'll see not a lot of dialogue, just kind of cries of pain. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you next Sunday for the next page, page 47. Be the practice of your art. Encourage others to do the same. That's what I'll be doing. Bye.